Welcome to the Midnight Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Easton Bennett, alongside my fellow co-host, Tyler Sinden. We are both entrepreneurs who are learning, growing, and building our own businesses. Our goal is to share experiences and knowledge to help you grow and become a successful entrepreneur. Strap in. Before we get started, if you have any questions or things you'd like us to cover, you can email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. And if you'd like to join our business Discord where we talk about wins, business problems, or general questions, shoot us a message and we will get you in there. Tyler, what is going on?
Not too much, Easton. I just noticed you're in another new setup. You're constantly in new setups here.
Yeah, everything was already set up in here, and I'm trying to get ready for my traveling tomorrow. Which at the top of the show, I was going to say that I'm currently in Los Angeles when you guys are listening to this, but at the time of recording this, I'm not. But yeah, it's getting everything set up, and I was like, I just don't want to move everything into that area. There's stuff all over the floor, all my gear's in there, anyways. So I figured whatever. We'll just go on week number 3 of filming in a different look. But it is good to have the actual podcast mic back in front of me because I went 2 weeks there without it.
What happened with the last episode? Did it just cut out in editing, or because you obviously
no idea
the whole time?
Because I went back, and for the people that noticed,
just the export.
Yeah, the people that noticed my audio cut out at the end of last episode, that is fixed. But yeah, I went back to check the edit after some people pointed it out, and it literally, like, I could see the waveforms. I could hear it on, or I couldn't hear it. I could see the waveforms, and then when I went to actually play that section, it just didn't work. So I just deleted the audio and then dragged the audio out again, and it worked perfectly fine. So really weird. I've never had that happen. Must be a Premiere problem.
Premiere's the GOAT. How long are you in LA for?
I'll be there Sunday. So Sunday I fly in. I get there, last night for you guys listening. Tyler, hopefully you can still hear me because I'm getting a phone call in the middle of this podcast.
You got to turn Do Not Disturb mode on.
It is on Do Not Disturb. So you can't see me. But anyways, I'll be in LA Sunday to Sunday. But we're filming in LA Monday, flying to San Francisco in the morning on Tuesday, and then flying back at night. And then Wednesday we're filming in LA. And then Thursday we fly to Phoenix in the morning and fly back at night. And then Friday we're filming in LA. So yeah, it'll be a whole just everyone's zipping around. I suppose you are in Arizona. Come be a little behind the scenes videographer.
That'd be sweet. I'll bring
You're
my drone
in
up.
Tucson. We'll be in Phoenix. So I don't know how far away that is, but
it's about 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh, yeah, it's a little far.
Mm-hmm. But if we had that teleportation device that we've been working on.
Yeah, that's the business idea that we're going to be coming up with eventually here. We're going to be like, we've finally done it.
After years of me traveling on the road, doing these road trips, taking days to get to my location. I don't think it's physically possible for a teleportation device, but
not yet.
It'd be cool.
Well, if teleportation ever does exist... Well, teleportation and time travel, I guess, are different. But I was going to say, if it ever does exist, then it has always existed. You know what I mean?
Deep.
That's for time travel, though. But yeah, currently in LA, when you guys are listening to this, hopefully the shoots are going well. And yeah, that kind of leads us into our topic. We're not going to get into it right away, but just as a teaser, our topic this week is traveling for work. So we'll get into that a little bit down the road. But Tyler, what do you got as an update for us?
So I just finished my first month of deliverables for my client, maybe a couple days ago, but just wrapped that up. It feels good to be able to be done. And it's like, cool, I got everything done this month, and now I got to start prepping for next month. And then it's just like an endless cycle to continually do that. But yeah, I got everything wrapped up for him, and I think he liked everything. I think everything turned out good. I know one episode I talked about him sending back. I don't know if I talked about it on here, but I know I mentioned it to you, but he sent back a lot of edits and was like, oh, but then the edits actually did turn out really good. And then when you actually do look at it, it's like, okay, this looks a lot more cohesive, and the edits were good. And I don't know if I also mentioned this. I know we talked about it in the mastermind, but I was having a lot of troubles with forms, and we ended up getting that all sorted out and figured out. That took up a lot of my time, but I think this was like the first month. So it's a lot of the initial phase of just getting everything rolling and getting used to it and accustomed to everything. So I think moving forward, it'll be a lot more smoother and a lot better. So we'll see how it goes moving forward, but got first month deliverables all wrapped up.
In the deliverables, so what are they the same for every month then? Because I know you did have an initial setup process you had to go through.
Yeah, they're the same. I did have the initial Google Ads one-time fee of going through his account, setting anything up that needs to be set up, auditing, and all that stuff. So there was that one-time fee, but other than that, it's all the same stuff from here on out, and just continually doing the same things and just in different ways.
That's what I like to hear, Tyler. We're just ripping client deliverables left and right. What else you got on? What else you got on for us? A little teaser action, or do you want to save that for the last little update?
I feel like it's my internet, but my internet's trashier. I can't move. My my legs are so sore. I feel like I might have injured myself, like right on the inside here of my knee. It's hurting a little bit. But yeah, I had this little challenge that you thought of, and I was so looking forward to it. Ended up doing it. I don't think I was as prepared as I thought I should have been. But yeah, I'm extremely sore. It'll be out on my YouTube channel in about a week and a few days from when this publishes. It'll be around January 31st. If you do want to check it out, or you should subscribe just to my YouTube channel in general, because that's one of my goals, is trying to grow that. But yeah, I was so looking forward to it. I'm happy I did it. I thought it was a good little challenge.
Yeah, and we're not going to divulge what the challenge was, so we can get you to go over to Tyler's channel and check it out. Tyler, the day we're filming this, that means it is out in 4 days. Is that accurate? January 31st is on Wednesday.
So like when this comes out, it's like
2 days after.
So it's like wait. Oh.
Today is January 27th.
No, that's not right. It's the week after that then. So it's like probably like February 6th,
February
7th.
5th or 6th, yeah. Somewhere in that range. I was just going to say, I don't know what day you think it is, but it is not a week and a half away. January 31st is this coming week. So
I didn't because I am like a week ahead with my scheduling right now. So I do have another video that's coming out when I just said. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I forgot that I do have like one in the bank right now.
So go watch that one, and then you can watch the other one after that. But yeah, I'm excited to see the video. Interesting challenge. You're a better man than me for trying it. So very interesting.
You can do it.
Yeah,
just
probably
push yourself a little.
Yeah, mine would be a lot of the latter and much less of the first. Little update on my end. We're rocking and rolling on social clips. I got 2 edits back from my Pakistani friends that are throwing those clips together. I thought they did pretty good. I sent you one of them. You said you liked it. I moved some of the text. It was a little too close to my face. I told them just lower it a bit, and then it's good. The one revision you gave me with one of the words being too close to the edges, I just said whatever. We'll just roll with it. Not super picky. I just rather have speed and get them out the door than to be a perfectionist. So excited to see how they put all those together. And I have one client we just shot for on Friday that we're starting here in 2024, and they'll also be tackling those edits. So I'm excited to get them those edits as well. But yeah, the social clips. Back on the game, Tyler. Back on the grind.
You got to stay consistent.
That's thought it maybe never happened.
Consistent. Yeah, now you got to get on the YouTube. So you got a whole lot that you got to work on.
That's coming. Hey, one step at a time.
Exactly.
Yep, exactly. We'll be on YouTube before we know it.
I always joke about this, but like hiring American. Have you ever hired an American? Because I know you always say they're too expensive, but have you hired an American in the past to do editing?
Bigger editing, yes. But for
not social clips?
The clip stuff, no, I haven't.
I was going to ask if they're any better or if they're the same or if they're worse.
Yeah. Not going to lie to you. I thought this company was American. I got swindled. So honestly, good for them. They know how to pose themselves. They must have had some UGC content. For the people that don't know, user generated content. So someone that's making content for your business, and the posts on their page are all like white Americans. And it's like, so Build X is this company and we will create this, saying we, and then I get, a message and say, okay, we'll add you to the Slack channel. And I look in Slack and it's all people from Pakistan. And I have nothing against people from Pakistan. But yeah, it just turns in. He's like, yeah, we have a bunch of editors. And like, okay, I guess I'm back in this, rig of Pakistani editors.
How'd you
they
find
did
these
their.
guys?
They actually reached out to me months ago, and then I said, because I get these messages all the time. Let me edit clips for you. Let me edit clips. And I was like, yeah, whatever. All you're doing is capturing them, right? I know you just use an auto template to caption them, right? I could do the same thing. And it was weird. The conversation I was having sounded very American, right? Sounded like I was dealing with somebody that knew what they were talking about. Not that the Pakistani people don't, but like we were on the same page. And just had the conversation. I said, send me like an example. I want to see what your work looks like before we even have a conversation. And it was a lot better. It's kind of the same style that I sent to you. And I thought, oh, this is actually a lot better than my last Pakistani friend. So yeah, we decided to rock and roll with it. And here we are. We're back. We got lured back in.
Yeah. My camera angle is going to be really bad, but this is audio first and my back is hurting. So I'm really lounging right now. But yeah, those edits that you were getting, they're really, I thought they looked really good, especially compared to any of your past edits that I've seen. I thought they looked really professional.
Like even that Steve Jobs thing, I thought that was really cool. I'm like, man, that's kind of, that's what I'm going for. That's how you kind of hook the audience. And there's this guy I follow on TikTok. His name is something Klonoff. I can't remember. I think it's Chris Klonoff. And he does awesome work. And I actually reached out to his company to see, because he also does editing for other people. And it's, I want to say $3,500 for his video per month. And I can't remember how many clips you get, but I was like, man, that's a lot more than what the Pakistani people are charging. And it's pretty similar. And granted, he like does some of the scripting and that kind of stuff, but at least I know his prices and everything and what that quality looks like to eventually send or sell deals. Like if I want to sell a project, I know, okay, I need to charge a lot if we want this level of work. So yeah, at least I know, but I did look into hiring American, or so what I thought was American.
Tried to.
Yeah, I put my foot in the ring and they just said, yeah, not going to work. I said, all right, well, you got me.
I guess
it's like the bobber went
enough.
Underwater. That was the fish they were luring in.
Using the wrong lure.
Yeah, exactly. But on the flip side, the process that I'm going through with them, I think is a lot better now. There's actually some sort of process. It's like, hey, we're going to add you to the Slack channel. We'll add an editor to your conversation or whatever it is. I don't know if you've ever used Slack, but they created like Easton Bennett channel, and then they threw an editor in there, and then the guy that manages the editors. And I got to send a brand guideline. I'm like, hey, here are the reference videos that I like. Here are my colors. Here's the logo. Like, make sure you're doing it according to this brand guideline. Sent the first one back. He's like, hey, let me know how the first one is, and we followed the brand guideline. Like, you know what? I don't care if you're Pakistani or not. I don't care if I have to wait 12 hours to get an answer because it's 5:30 in the morning for you right now.
There was a video I saw. I don't think I sent it to you, but the guy talked a lot about how it's transitioning away from this fast-paced, all these edits, something similar to what you received there, and it's more about the storytelling. And I thought it was a really good concept, and I believe he has some merit behind it. His story just went on a little bit too long, and I didn't watch the full thing. Yeah. I was like, this looks really good, but you're going a little too long. You should have cut it at about 30 seconds, and he just kept going. I'm like, the story's too long.
Yeah, and that's something where I wanted to tell more of a story, where that's what I'm trying to do with this content. And the way I'm scripting it is hopefully a lot better than I used to, where it's felt very robotic. So I'm trying to switch it up a little bit so it is more storytelling based on that. So once we get that nailed down, we can switch some of the flashiness if we need to. But I'm happy with it now. I'm excited to see where it goes.
How much of ChatGPT did you use for those scripts?
Pretty much ChatGPT was basically like an employee sitting in the same room as me for about 2 hours.
Pardon?
ChatGPT was basically like it was sitting in the room with me, helping me through these scripts for 2 hours. So, okay. I mean, it was...
And how many did you come up with?
There are 8 clips. So the package I have with these people is 24 clips a month. Now, I'm not using them all for me. I have a client that does 8 clips a month, so kind of splitting it up. But, yeah, I did 8 this time. That'll be for February because I need 16 for the client we just shot with on Friday. And then we won't need... I'll have more for the next run. So, Yeah, it's good. The ChatGPT, I really had to prompt them. Like I had to fine tweak exactly. I'm like, okay, this isn't what I want. Like I want it to sound like this, and then I had to like pull scripts from certain people, and I don't know what it's called when you transcribe. I transcribed a bunch of videos that I liked, and I said, okay, analyze this script. This is semi what I want. Do you see how they started with a story, or they started with this as their hook? So I really had to break down every aspect from the hook to the middle section to the call to action. It was like so I haven't even closed that tab on my computer of that chat because I don't want to lose it. Yeah. I want to always go back and reference and be like, all right, we're back. Let's write some more scripts. So. Are you frozen? Are you alive?
Yeah. My internet's probably so trash right now. But yeah, I don't know if you know this, but the chats save. And then you can always go back to them. And that's something that we do at work where we'll have all of our clients, and then our writers will have the specific folders for each of our clients. And then they can just go back into it because like they got to try and nail their voice. So you can just have that individual folder.
I wonder, you can create, I know they save on the left side. Can you create folders and stuff for that?
I don't know if you can create folders, but it's just like chats that you can always go back to.
Yeah, I would like to rename them because sometimes it comes up with their own names where it's like, you can. I haven't even looked at that, so that's smart. I'll have to rename it because it's good to have one for each client you have on there.
Yeah, that's what I started doing. I started renaming them whenever my clients or work or new frame, whatever it might be, and then I just name it, and then I'll just be able to go back to that specific chat, and then they already have all the information from the past.
Yeah, that's nice. I'll have to redo that. Cool. So last little update I have, I know we're going a little bit long on the updates, but that's because me and Tyler are not doing news stories anymore. We figured it just wasn't really something that we wanted to do anymore. We were always scrambling the day of to find a news story. We weren't sure how much it actually added to the podcast. And a lot of it we weren't super knowledgeable in. So we didn't want to just shoot from the hip and give you information that we didn't really know about just for the sake of doing it. And I think that opens up more, 10 to 15 minutes of the show to actually talk about either our topic or our update. So I kind of like the elimination of the news stories. Mm-hmm. But last little update I have, Matt, guy I'm working with in Bismarck, selling projects left and right. I love it. We sent out a pretty big contract last week, and hopefully we get a thumbs up on that one. And then he sold 2 projects last week. So partnership's off to a good start. He's also very open about being a part of Bennett Creative Media's team. He changes his signature
to...
Well, yeah. He changes his signature to... it says Bennett Creative Media on the bottom when he's emailing anybody that would go to my business. So it's been awesome so far. Can't complain about it at all. But once we have that deal locked in, which we don't yet, we will also do that episode we teased you guys last week with on the business deal. But for now, that's all you get. A little
random thought. I don't want to ask questions about this because every time I ask questions about Matt, you say save that for the episode. So I'm not going to ask questions. But random thought. Random thought. When you say no complaints or something along those lines, I'm trying to think of like what else people say where it's like, I can't complain, something like that. Do you think this is like a psychological thing when someone's saying that? It's like you're trying to look for a complaint. It's like, I don't have any complaints. So it's like you're trying to look for a complaint. I've just always thought about that where someone, whenever like, hey, how's it going? And then they'll be like, I can't complain. So it's just like they're trying to find like complaints.
Yeah, I don't know if I look at it like that. I think when I say I can't complain, I just say that thinking things are great so far. Something might come up in the future, but so far everything's going great.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not big on psychology, but it's just like a thought that I had that maybe that's what people are looking for. Like it could be like framing your mind to be like, let's try and find complaints. Like where can I find complaints? And then it's like trying to shift that mindset to, oh, everything's great. So it's just like a different mindset shift. I don't know. Just a thought.
I'll hook you up with all the psychologists I know, and you can run it past them and see what they say. All right, Tyler, let's get into this week's topic. We mentioned it a little bit up top, but the reality of traveling for work, something that obviously I'm going through right now. I was in New York a couple weeks ago. Tyler did a big, long road trip across the United States, and what was it? Well, I guess probably about a year ago now. And now he also just went through another road trip to Arizona. So we've gone through this, and that's kind of who I wanted to talk about it. And what sparked this is that everyone always says, oh, I want to travel for work. And I wonder what the reason behind that is. Tyler, why do you think people are always like, oh, I want to travel for work? It'd be so fun.
I've always said this, and I still say it, and I always want to travel for work. But I just think it's a cool experience. Like I love hotels. I love plane rides. I love going on car rides, except like the time it takes. And like if you're by yourself, it kind of sucks. But yeah, I love traveling, and I would love to travel for work. It's just something that I've always liked to do. I don't know. Hotels are just kind of cool to me. It's something new. It's something different. And I like doing that stuff. So that's why I like it.
So when I ask, maybe this is a question I'll ask it, and I'll get into that. But this is a question I will ask you is when you say travel for work, is it places, do you care where you go? Or do you want to travel to cool places for work?
Not really. I just like traveling. I moved to North Dakota.
Yeah,
I moved to North Dakota for 4 years. Like I don't really care where I go. So as long as I get to go somewhere new, it's just I like new experiences. I like getting out and doing something new, and I like changing up the scenery. There's just especially hotels. I love hotels. I don't know what it is. I just really like hotels. Like the free food, continental breakfast. Oh man, you can't beat that.
Yeah, if you get a place with continental breakfast, it is legit. That's one of the main things I look for
that. That's right. That's all I need. That and Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I would agree with you, Tyler. Like I like traveling, and I like seeing new places and the whole prospect. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of do like hotels too. There's something about just staying in a hotel.
Right.
But on the flip side,
you got someone taking care of you, cleaning your room.
Yeah, well, that is the nice part. Honestly, sometimes I just tell the maids not to come, or like every other day because I'm like, I don't need you there every day. And it's good to see new places, experience new cultures, experience new people, meet new people. But on the flip side, traveling for work, I almost like experiencing those things traveling not for work. And I get it's cool if your only way to travel is through work and that's your opportunity. Awesome. But traveling for work, I find one, I hate flying. Like it's not that like I'm scared of a plane or don't want to go up, but being a tall person, it is miserable flying because I'm not paying for first class. 6'2", and I'm not paying for first class. It's just my knees are just banging against a chair, right? It's never comfortable. Yeah. It's not easy to work on the flight. And we're going to go into kind of the pros and cons, but I've never liked the whole travel aspect. But I do like the destination aspect. So that's where I kind of put the two in separate buckets.
Yeah, I guess when you're like if you're trying to work while you're traveling and on the plane, like at the same time, I think you got to get first class or at least economy just because like you need that extra room, you need that thing to be able to set your laptop on, whatever it might be. So I think for your case, I think it might be worth the upgrade to be able to get that so you can work on the plane if you are trying. Because for me, whenever I travel for work, and especially like, or if I'm just traveling in general, I rarely will work. I'll usually bring either a book and read, or I'll just try and sleep.
I definitely tell myself, oh, I'm going to work on the plane. I'm going to get so much done. I got 5 hours on the plane. Never do because it's just it's just not ergonomically friendly, right?
Yeah. I know one time when I did travel for work, not really for work, when I traveled and I was on the plane, I edited the podcast and some of the clips, but I think other than that, I don't think I've really ever worked on the plane. It's usually either reading or sleeping, and then sometimes I'll throw on a movie if I have the option. But for the most part, it's like reading or sleeping.
I'm a big movie guy. I definitely like watching movies on the plane. Sometimes I'll download them on my iPad, or if you're on a plane where they have obviously the movies built into the back of seats, that's nice. Yeah. But yeah, it's really hard to get work done on the plane. We'll go into the pros and cons, but I think the last thing is that when people always say, I want to travel for work, I think one of the biggest things is they want to look cool. They want to feel like they're important that, oh, this person is traveling because of the work. What do they do? They must be important that they're being flown from point A to point B.
Got a suit on.
Yeah. Do you think there's some of that in there, Tyler?
I think so. I always see people when dressed up in suits and shit like that, and I'm like, that guy must be important. And that's what I always think.
Yeah.
Like he means business. So yeah, I don't think people, because I think there's what is it? The come on, what is it? Like come on, man, help me here. It's like the standards, like what you got to wear.
Yeah.
And what is that word? Like people, like when you go in the office, you don't have to wear, you can wear whatever you want.
Dress code,
sure,
wardrobe.
Whatever. We'll go with dress code. Those standards are changing where people don't really got to wear business suits anymore. Like you'll see more casual attire, and people like go to the airport in sweatpants and sweatshirt, whatever it might be. And they could be a multimillionaire and they're going dressed like that, and they could be traveling for business. So I do see like there's a couple different aspects of it. And I don't think like people like when they are, I think they do think they're important when they are wearing like suits. And I think appearance is a huge thing with people and everything in general. Like you look good, you feel good, and you dress good. Like you're going to get noticed. And I think that's a good way to stand out in a crowd. So, I mean, I don't think like, because a lot of those people that you do see, I think in my opinion, that are wearing those suits, that are traveling for work, are probably like 50, 60 years old.
Yeah. And that's where, I'm on the same page. When I see someone on a plane, my determining factor of whether I think they're important or not, if you're wearing
First class.
If you're wearing a suit and you're sitting next to me, I know you ain't shit, right? Now the people that are wearing suits and they're sitting in first class, then I'm like,
frugal.
I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that. And I'm not saying that, but I think, the real people that I'm like, I wonder what he does are the people that are wearing suits or nice clothes and they're sitting in seat 1A or 1B. And I'm like, what do you do?
Yeah.
But the people that are back with me, I'm like, yeah, you might have a good job and you travel for work, but your job doesn't like you enough to pay for first class. Right. So, that's kind of how I look at it. But, especially in the younger generation, I think people that, and it's probably a majority of girls, but they're like, oh, I want to travel for work and take pictures on the plane. I'm like, dude, I hate it. If I could just teleport from North Dakota to LA tomorrow night for my flight, I 100% would. I do not want to go through the process of going through TSA, getting my bag checked, sitting in the airport, boarding the plane. Like all of that seems, I'm like, this is so annoying.
This
so maybe
is why
one day I'll have a PJ.
This is what that's what I was actually going to get to. This is why you got to get, like, there's private jet rentals, not really rentals, but you can go, there's a way
Charter.
that you can, and then you can go on that where you skip the TSA, you just go straight to the private jet, and it might be like 10 people on the plane and they're all doing the same thing that you're doing. So I think that you just got to get to that point.
Yeah. Or you just get to the point where you pay $30,000 a flight with your own personal jet or rent a charter jet or whatever. I know you can do that. Like I could go to Minneapolis airport and say, I want to charter a flight from here to Los Angeles, and they would let me do it, but it might cost me $40,000.
Oh yeah. We'll get there.
One day we'll be there. But all right, Tyler, let's get into the good, because we don't want to say everything's bad. And we also don't want to say everything's perfect. So we want to go through the good and the bad, and we figured we'd start with the good. So I'll start it off here. It is exciting. We're not going to discount that. It's super exciting to be able to go to somewhere new. If I'm like, I got to go work in Los Angeles this week, it's exciting. I'm super excited about it. So that is the one thing, is that we're not discounting that travel is like, oh, it sucks. But there are some headaches that we want to also touch on.
I think we should also define travel for work, because I think there's a lot of different types of work where you can be the digital nomad and you can do whatever you want. You're working remote. You can work on the beach, do whatever you want. Whereas, say with you got to actually be in that physical location where you're filming on set. You have all this stuff that's set up where you can't really go out, work at the pool or work on the beach in this specific location. So I think framing and defining exactly why you're traveling for work is important as well.
Yeah, and in my head, and you can let me know your thoughts, Tyler, but in my head, when I say traveling for work, I'm not counting the jobs where maybe in your instance where you can travel, but really you need your laptop. You don't ever have to meet with anybody in person. You can have your Zoom calls or whatever it is. The travel work I'm talking about, and it doesn't necessarily be where you have to go on a video shoot, but you're going somewhere to have meetings, and then maybe you have to go to a conference, and then maybe you have to go to this other function where you're like out there working. And, there's obviously some cute computer stuff involved as well. And maybe it's, you're a photographer and you get to travel to Bali. But when you're in Bali, you have to shoot a bunch of photos for this hotel. And then maybe you're shooting a wedding the next day. And then, that's the kind of work that I'm talking about. Whereas a digital nomad like you, Tyler, that I would say is awesome. But it's much easier to want to travel for work when all you need is a laptop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is important. And I do think that traveling for work can be a lot of fun as well and can be exciting, but because we want to define it, if you are working while you're traveling, a lot of that excitement might not be there just because like it's going to be work, and then maybe a little bit of play.
Yeah, that's
or just
one of
travel
the things.
Or explore.
That's one of the things I'm thinking about here for this Los Angeles trip is I've been to LA, but I don't know how much time I'm actually going to have to go out and be the guy that's traveling, right? Because we shoot on Monday, we go to San Francisco Tuesday, shoot on Wednesday, Phoenix on Thursday, shoot on Friday. So it's like, yeah, you might have some time at night, but after a full day shoot in a state that's 2,000 miles away from you, and then you eat, and then it's like, you're probably ready for bed at that point. Or you need to do stuff on your computer. It's not like I'm going to be going to a Lakers game, and then I'm going to be like, I'll link up with some creators. So I think it's a lot harder when you are traveling for work that it's not like a vacation where you can kind of plan out your whole itinerary and get so much done.
Yeah. And I don't want to take away from the good because I am kind of hit. When we were coming up with this list, I think it was a lot easier to come up with the bad. So I don't want to take away from the good because there's a lot more bad than good that we do have on this list. And I think one of the good things about traveling is you get to experience a new location, new cultures, new people, whatever it might be. You're just going to be able to get out there and experience something new. When I was in Minot, there was people that had never even left North Dakota or even Minot. It's like, you have not seen anything. And it was crazy to me because like I'm from a border city, and where I'm from, pretty much everyone has a passport. And then when I went to North Dakota and I was hearing people don't have passports, I'm like, what? I didn't know that was really a thing. I thought everyone just had passports because like you get to travel and do all this stuff. So like getting out and experiencing new places and new sites and new cultures, I think that's extremely valuable.
I would say that's on the top of my list for sure, Tyler, is that one of my favorite things about whether you're traveling for work or you're just traveling for fun is that you do get to experience a new place. Going to LA, I might be working and shooting at one specific building, but it's cool to go out and see a new location. The one thing I like about going to new places, you start to get familiar with them. And the more you get familiar with a place, the easier it is to go there and feel, you can almost have more fun when you're familiar with it, right? The first time you ever travel to a place, it's like, I'm kind of getting my footing down, I'm trying to figure things out. But the second time you go somewhere, the third time you go somewhere, then it's like, now I can really have fun in the city. So I think next time if I go to New York in a year from now, I would have probably way more fun than I did this first trip.
Because there's a lot more exploring, and then How was Central Park? You went to Central Park, right? Yeah,
it was. So picture like the park near you, and then just picture it bigger, and that's what it is. It's just a park.
I don't know what I mean. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was a cool park though. Like you got bike pass. I heard there's rock climbing.
Yeah, I didn't see any of the rock climbing. I mean, if you're into like paths, it's great.
Yeah, maybe it was a little bit cold for that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't snow on the ground, but I mean, there's cool paths you can go, and if you're a biker, you can go bike through different things, and if you run, you can go run in different areas. But at the end of the day, it's trees, it's paths. There's some benches you can sit on. There's a big lake in the middle, so I guess that's kind of cool to look at water if you're into that kind of thing.
You got to experience something new.
Yeah, and it's cool
to experience a new park.
Exactly, but yeah, I mean, it's just a park at the end of the day, and that's funny because I was joking with people about that. They're like, "How's Central Park?" And I'm like, "Picture a park, and then a bigger version of it, and boom, you got it. It's right there."
So there's playgrounds.
No playgrounds. I didn't see any playgrounds.
So it's not a park.
Yeah, no, it's just a big green area in the middle of only concrete buildings, which is exciting. The other cool thing about traveling for work, Tyler, it does open up more opportunities, bigger deals. You get to meet people that maybe this is just me because I'm from North Dakota, but meet people that maybe higher or not more ahead, but further along than you are, you could say. So that's what's exciting about it. Going to LA, working with a bigger company, meeting the people in LA, that opens up connections and business relationships that you might not know what it turns into in 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
Yeah, it's kind of like networking or just getting a different perspective on life from other people that are in different places. Because that's one thing that I had here, where meeting new people from different places, and especially going to North Dakota and meeting all these new people, you're getting out and experiencing new things. And I think especially for you, it's a lot different because you're from a small city. And then when you're going to these bigger cities, you're meeting a lot different people. So it's completely different environment, culture, everything, perspective. So it's completely different, especially when you do meet those people.
Yeah, and meeting people, that's one of the biggest things too. I am a firm believer that the more people you know, the more successful you can be. If you know, and this has helped a ton, especially producing this project. They're like, hey, we need a videographer in Maine. We need someone in Atlanta. We need someone here. And just having those connections to be able to reach out and be like, hey, I got you covered. I got a guy that's in Birmingham. He'll go to Atlanta on Thursday, whatever it might be. One, it's awesome to have that connection, be able to do that. But then you are seen as more of a trustworthy person. This person has a lot of connections. They can help solve problems. Where just knowing people is never a bad thing.
Yeah, look at Eddie. Whenever he goes to Vegas, he's chilling behind stage with DJs.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, the networking is awesome when you travel, especially for business. The other nice thing is there's no distractions really. When you're traveling, you're doing whatever you're doing in that city, and you don't have to worry about anything that's going on where you're from.
Yeah, I know this is something that I put down, but for me, it's basically going out and for me, I'm here alone, so my only distraction is myself. So yeah, it eliminates a lot of those distractions that you might have in other locations.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into the next point, is that if you are stuck in a certain situation, or you're in a rut, you're in a creative funk, whatever it might be, getting out, traveling, going to see something new might spark some motivation in you to get stuff done. At the end of the day, so you're actually getting stuff done. That's kind of nice about traveling too, is sometimes experiencing a new place or a new culture can help a ton.
Yeah, and I think it's good to even just get out and experience something new and get that change of scenery, so you can come back with a fresh set of fresh mind or whatever it is, where you're nice and refreshed, and then you can come back with different perspectives, different insights too. And then you can come back. Exactly. And then you can come back, and then you're just oh yeah, then you got the ball rolling again. Yeah.
Tyler, let's pivot into the bad.
I know a lot of the stuff that you had for the bad, it was is it really? So it's we might have different views here, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and you can be the devil's advocate for anything, but the first thing I have on the list here is it does add stress. Maybe not for Tyler. He put meh as a comment on my little note here. But I think it adds stress, just making sure, and maybe that's just because I'm packing video gear and traveling with that, but making sure you have everything for the shoot. Making sure that you got everything ready for your flight, to make sure your bags are checked, making sure your batteries are in the right case. So I always think packing adds a little bit of stress. And then obviously not just the packing aspect, but making sure everything's lined up for the shoot. It's really easy to get a shoot lined up in Minot. You have access to the location, whatever it might be. But when you're 2,000 miles away, going into a foreign territory that you've never been, you've never shot in, there are some unknowns. In 90% of the time, it goes smoothly, but there are some unknowns that you are walking into.
Yeah,
which can be stressful.
I think this is right. And I think this is why we did define it a little bit, because I'd say I'm more of that digital nomad, because all I really technically quote unquote need is my laptop, and then everything else is kind of extra. And then, but at the same time, eliminating a lot of the stress is come up with a checklist and make sure you have everything packed. And then it's like, okay, I got that, I got that, I got that, I got that. I don't have that. Okay, let's get that. So that's what I started doing is I'll have this checklist to make sure that I got everything that I do need. And then it's like, this is what I absolutely need. And then this is what I would be nice to have. And then it's like, go through the list and make sure that you have everything. So for me, it's not as stressful because it's like, I just got to make sure I have my laptop. If I have my laptop, I can get everything done.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally agree that when you're a digital nomad, you could say it's much easier to just go. I could go to Ohio and work for a week because I can hang out at a coffee shop. I can hang out in my hotel room and work, right?
Right.
But yeah, when you are hauling stuff around and you do need to line stuff up where you're on certain locations or sets, it is a little bit more difficult. But that's okay. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think the familiarity aspect comes in. I think if I was to go shoot in New York again, I would be less stressed because I'm super familiar with the location. If we had to go shoot in the same location, I know what I'm walking into. It's just like the first time I went to Vegas, right? I was a little nervous. I'm like, I don't know anything about Vegas. You know, where are we going to do? What are we going to, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And now that I've been there a couple times, every time I go to Vegas, I know what I'm getting myself into. I'm like, oh, it'd be super cool. Let's do this time. So the familiarity aspect, whether you're on business trip or just a regular trip, does help a ton.
Yeah. Do you think that the familiarity is a good thing, or do you think that the unfamiliar is good?
I think for business, it's a good thing. But if you're just going to experience a new location, culture, I think the unfamiliarity is good. Or is bad, sorry. Or is good. Yeah, no, it's good.
Good.
Being unfamiliar is good. Because I think it's good to go there that first time, experience the new people, meet the new people, experience new cultures, the new location. But I think if you're like, okay, I really want to get stuff done this trip, you know, I want to make sure everything's smooth, I get a lot of work done, then going to a location that you've already been to, it's going to make it much easier.
But so the counterpoint, I guess I would say, is the unfamiliar is where the uncomfort comes from, and that's where the growth happens.
I think so, but I would say that's surface level growth where it's like, oh, I'm meeting new people. Maybe a new business job would come about, right? But let's say I have a client in LA. The second, third, fourth time I fly to LA, I can probably get more done with that client than the first time.
Yeah, potentially.
So I think it's both. I think, you know, going in a new place, you are going to get out of your comfort zone and get a lot of growth done. And, you know, like you said earlier, you're going to have a lot of ideas and you're going to have motivation. But I think, hey, if I know my plan, like if I had to go do a business job in Vegas right now, it's like, hey, you have to go shoot a video at Caesar's Palace. Like I would be so confident and feel super comfortable doing that and getting that done. But if I'd never been to Vegas before, and they're like, go shoot a video at Caesar's Palace. Pretty much. I've been there 9 times at this point.
Is this where the real Caesar stayed?
Yeah.
Is that what the line is?
This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it? Like, Caesar didn't stay here. But if I went there the first time, I would be like, oh, gosh, I don't know where anything's at Caesar's Palace. Like, you know, are we going to make sure we get all the shoot done in time? All those things start to creep in. Moving on to the next thing, though, Tyler, and we talked about it before. Flying is not fun. And Tyler disagrees, but I hate sitting on the plane. So crammed in there. I get tired on planes for some reason. If you're traveling all day, if you're at the airport from freaking 10 a.m. and then you're finally in the city at 6 p.m. or whatever it is, it gets a little exhausting, right? Or you got a layover and then you got to hang out for an hour and a half. I've never liked the whole thought of being in the airport.
I love it. It's something new. I love airports. And like, I'm rarely really ever stressed because a lot of the times the layovers are decent length, and it's like I'm just gonna take my time walking through the airport, looking at different things. And there was only one time when I was actually stressed because the airplane was delayed that I was on, and then I had a connecting flight, and then it was like half of our plane had like connecting flights, and they ended up postponing the last flight because it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So it was like the last flight of the night. So they're like, okay, we're going to wait for this flight because it was delayed. So no one really knew that, but everyone was like running to their next plane. And that was like the only time like I was actually like stressed. But other than that, I'm like always walking through, and it's funny. I saw this thing where it's when you're in the airport and it's like you're getting there early, you'll get to the gate and you'll be like, yes, the gate does exist. And then you go somewhere else.
And then you go like somewhere else. Yeah. I do that all the time where it's like, F15, cool. Yep, there it is. And then you just turn around.
Right. Then you're like, okay, now I'm going to go around. I still got an hour.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I just never liked it because I think that's where my stress comes in, where it's like when I'm walking around the airport and I do like taking my time if it's a layover. I think last time I went to that Delta Sky Club that I had access to. And it's like I feel like I'm just wasting, like I'm not getting anything done, right? Now, if I should go into these places,
you got to wear a suit in there next time.
Really, like, sir,
that guy means business. Delta Sky Club, got a suit on.
It's like, dude, he's sitting there on TikTok. He's been scrolling for 45 minutes. That's what I do.
Just like pass out on the couch.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's. I just find it harder to get work done, and then moving into the next point, the quality of work. You know, I really like to, if I'm gonna edit something, I like to freaking go into the lab, be on my full screen desktop, put some headphones on, and really get down to an edit. If I'm getting quality work done on set, I like to have all of the stuff I need, especially shooting, especially going to LA. It's like you're taking a small setup. So you're limited in the way you can light things. You're limited in the locations you can shoot in because of the lighting, you know, window wise. So I think it's a lot harder for me personally to get higher quality work done. Now, again, if you're a digital nomad, it's the same thing. You know, if he can send the same email he can in Arizona that he can in Ohio, right? Or create a brief, whatever it might be. So that's the only thing for me. It's harder. And for me, the other thing is harder to get into a routine. Tyler loves hotels, and he's good with his routine, but sometimes I get that travel. I don't want to call it jet lag because it's not like you're jet lagged, but you know, you get there, you sleep, and then I'm like, okay, and I wake up in a hotel. What time is it? Maybe that is what jet lag is. But yeah, I just find it harder to get into a routine when you are traveling and on the road.
Yeah, I will say for sure, whenever, say, I'm in like a hotel, my routine does get thrown off a little bit. And especially right now, I'm in a completely different situation in life where I don't think I would like to stay in a hotel unless I were able to continue training for my Ironman. Like I might be able to go outside and go on a run, or maybe I'd hit the treadmill, be able to go on the run there. I know there are pools. If they do have a pool, they aren't as long as what I would need. So it's like a little bit difficult in that regard. So definitely a lot of my routine and habits would get thrown off. But for the most part, I remember working there when I was in Quebec. I got a lot of work done, and especially at the airport too. But like how we defined traveling and working, for me, it's a lot easier because I can just bust out my laptop, throw some headphones in, and get down to work. And a lot of the quality is still not really going to be hindered.
I think I would like traveling and working a lot more if I could. You know, I was one of those guys that's like, your work revolves around having meetings
or sales,
and phone calls and emails, right? Because then I can hop on a call in the airport and talk to the marketing manager.
Now that's another line of what is it? Success, where you got the suit on, you got the AirPods in, they're on the call. It's like, I don't want this deal.
Yeah. That's another, when you can just start bossing people around, you don't actually have to put fingers onto a computer or any other sort of thing, and your whole job just revolves around conversations. Then I think I would enjoy it much more. But yeah, when you're lugging stuff around and drags, it gets to be a little bit hairy. So
yeah, you're good at talking.
Yeah, I do like talking. Put my mouth in a circus. Tyler, you kind of mentioned, obviously, you know, when you're working, you don't get to explore the place truly. And we mentioned that a little bit, but it is much harder, especially if you go in with the mindset of, I'm going to go to this new place and explore the new city. It's going to be much harder if you are working, unless you're like a digital nomad, then whatever.
I mean, even for me, like I am probably in that category, but even for me, if I do want to work, like I could go to coffee shops, but I just don't want to have to like go there every single day and have to buy coffee just to work in that place. It's like I got a spot right here, I got coffee right here, and then especially for me, it's a lot harder because I got to hit my calories and then I got to do my training. So I got a lot of the other stuff going on, but like if I didn't have any of that stuff, then might be cool to go to a coffee shop to explore a little bit, or go somewhere else to just change up the scenery, do something new. But yeah, it's like when you are actually going there for work, you're going to be working. And a lot of people don't understand. It's like, oh, that's so cool. You get to travel for work. I bet that's awesome. I bet you're at the pool. I bet you get to enjoy the beach or whatever it is. And like, you might share that on social media, but what you see on social media a lot of the times is only like 1 to 5% of what you're actually doing. And if you are going for, say, work, the other 95% is work.
Yeah. And that's where, just using the LA thing, for example, you might post a picture driving through downtown LA and you're like, good to be in LA. But really, I'm in an Uber going to wherever it might be, and I'm going to be stuck in that building for the next 8 hours shooting. Right. So it's not really exactly what it looks like. There isn't a ton of exploring. You might be on the beach, like, oh, the beach is awesome. I love being on the beach. But maybe you're just shooting one scene on the beach. Right. So like Tyler said, you are going to be working if you're on a business work trip. So that vacation that you think you're going on is going to be less of a vacation than you think.
Yeah, for sure.
The final one.
How much you want to work?
I don't want to work at all, honestly. I just want to have conversations with
Can I just get paid to do nothing?
Exactly. I just want to be the conversation guy. That's the goal. The 10-year goal is to be the conversation guy. No, I don't want to sell. I want to manage a business.
Okay.
You know, be the CEO, man. Be the chief executive officer. And the last thing on the list, you know, it is expensive. Like, flights are not cheap. Hotels aren't necessarily cheap. I think I can't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast, but my Ubers in New York were $400 in Ubers. And I was there for a week.
Did you pay for that?
My business paid for that.
So they didn't pay for it?
No. I mean, some of it was baked into the budget we had, but yeah, no, that's just something that comes with it, unless you rent a car, but you're going to pay the same amount if you rent a car for a week as well. So there are things like that do come up where it is expensive. You're going to have to eat out every night. I don't know too many people that, if they go on a week-long trip, are going to go to the grocery store and go get groceries to make it their hotel, right? You're going to go out to eat, so that's an added expense. So traveling does get expensive, whether you're doing it for business or for pleasure.
Definitely, yeah. I want to say I don't know. Depends on. It's so tough. I would probably get like the snacks, you know, the nuts, and then probably the RX bars, just to eat, and probably some fruits. But other than that, like, maybe, did you have continental breakfast?
No. The hotel is too nice.
Oof. Oof.
But you walk down.
Yeah,
dude,
that would be rough.
I was in New York. You walk down and you get a
intermittent fasting all day.
$3. No, you
That's
just
rough.
walk next door and get a $3 bagel.
That's rough.
Yeah, but it's continental. I wonder if this place I'm staying at in LA has continental breakfast. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll see.
Always got to look for that. That's the first thing I look for.
I didn't book the hotels, so.
Damn.
Yeah.
There's your first mistake.
Yeah, take it in the shorts. So yeah. With that all said, the good, the bad, the ugly, do the pros outweigh the cons, in your opinion, Tyler?
Yeah, I do think so. I think it does also come down to, are you actually going to put in the work? Are you actually going to, like, are you going for the right reasons? Are you going to actually, you know, go out there and, like, do what you say you're going to do? And if you are, I think it definitely does. For me, I think the main cons for me is just driving, because, like, that takes up, for me coming here, that took up almost 2 days, 2 full days. So that's basically 2 full days gone. But yeah, like, if you come out for the right intentions, the right plan, and you're actually going to go out there and put in the work, I do think it's going to be worth it, because you're going to be able to go out there and experience new things and potentially be getting ahead of other people.
Yeah, and I totally agree. 95% of the time, it's worth it. You get to experience new cultures. You get to meet new people, go to a new location, and those outweigh the cons of, it being expensive, the plane being uncomfortable, being in the airport. Those things are minor details that maybe last an hour or two that you have to experience, but the experience of going to a new place and meeting new people, that's going to help you in the long run, way longer than that hour and a half delay where you couldn't get any work done. So at the end of the day, as much hating as I did and how bad it is worth it, and it is fun. So
you're never gonna.
Can't do it.
Yeah, you're never going to come back from a vacation, say like you going to Vegas, and you're not going to say, man, I can't believe I was on that flight that I had no leg room for 3 hours. You're going to talk about how great Vegas was, how great of an experience you had, what you did there. That's what you're going to talk about. Those are little minutia details.
I think my gripe with the whole travel for work thing is people put such an emphasis on loving the flight. It's like, I don't like flying, right? I like the destination, right? If I could travel for work, the destination's great. I love going to LA, New York, you go to Texas, you go to Ohio, wherever it might be. That's great. But people that are like, I love flying.
A lot of fun stuff in Ohio.
Yeah, the Bengals. But Tyler, who's like, I love flying. It's like, come on, man. Do you really love flying? You love those 2.5 hours being in the air? Like,
I do. It's so cool.
I think Tyler's in the minority, but enjoy the destination. The flying part, it's not terribly exciting.
It's about the process, man. Yeah. Gotta enjoy the process.
It's just a glorified bus, man. You like buses?
Man, if you think about it, it's like when people complain about it, it's like we're in this massive aircraft that is traveling who knows how fast.
500 miles an hour.
Exactly. Like if you think about everything that it is going into it, like you can't complain about that. Like the technology advancements with everything, it's like so crazy. Like how we're here.
It's cool, but it's not comfortable and you can't get any work done, so I'm over it. So yeah. Nice. We got some graphics showing up on FaceTime here, but let's get into Tyler, you got anything else or we can get into this week's business idea?
Let's jump right into this amazing idea you got here.
Foot fedora. So that's this week's business idea. I was trying to come up with some alliteration, but basically what I was thinking, I don't know if you're a slipper guy, Tyler, but I wear slippers around the house. I got a pair of slippers and I got a pair of moccasins. So depending on the day, if I want to wear them, I usually go moccasins. Moccasin, it's got a hard back. It's almost like you would wear if you're in the woods in a cabin. I'll send you a picture of it after. And then the slippers, you kind of just slip your feet in. So if I wear the moccasins, if I'm like...
So is that a slipper?
I'd say that's a sandal. But
this is like if this was like fluffy.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be a slipper. A moccasin, it's kind of, some people wear them in public. It's got a back to it.
So it's like a shoe.
More like a shoe. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if I decide like, hey, I want my feet warm all day, I'll throw the moccasins on, wear them for 8 hours. But if I'm like, I just want to, my feet are cold and I got to go to the basement, then I'll throw my slippers on. So what I was thinking, your toes? Yeah. What I was thinking is, that'd be crazy. Where this came from is I don't like wearing my slippers or my moccasins outside. So the whole process of having to take your foot out of the slipper, put it in a shoe, tie the shoe, horrible. Where if you could have some sort of big looking boot, and this is only for snow places, obviously. Well, maybe not because maybe you just don't want to wear it outside. But I had to go take the garbage out, which is 15 feet outside, walking through the snow. And it would have been cool if I could just set my slippers or my moccasins inside of these big boots that would maybe just like close like this. They would clamp over the top. And then it's almost like you have just the bottoms that go and you don't have to get your slippers or moccasins dirty. And then you can come in, they pop right off, and you don't have to do anything. I don't have to put a pair of shoes on. I don't have to take my slippers off. It's just a quick trip outside. Maybe you have to run to get the mail. I think this is a good invention.
Do you ever see those really expensive house videos where people will walk in with their shoes and then they got to put their foot in the plastic machine to cover the bottom?
I've had
similar to that. Oh, really?
Yeah.
How was that experience? That must have been a nice house.
It was for sale for $900,000.
That's nothing.
Yeah, not crazy.
I mean, in mine, that's like probably like massive.
Yeah, it was like a hairnet on my foot. And they said either take them off or put the hairnet on. And I think the first time I put it on my shoes, and after that, I just popped my shoes off and walked around with socks. But yeah, it's something like that, but a little bit more sturdy, so I can walk through the snow. And then you can just pop them off once you get inside.
Interesting. Yeah, so you would only use it. You could use it for other scenarios, like if you're going to the grocery store or something. You don't want to take your moccasins or.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to be looking. It's not like a good look, I don't think. It's not like.
People go to the store in their pajamas.
Yeah, for sure. But, the slippers I have are bright blue and bright yellow, like Chargers colors. My moccasins, I'd never wear those in public. So if you're one of those people, you sure could. You just got designed enough to look like it's okay. But yeah, almost
called
like
fashion.
just like a little grip for your shoe. And you can walk around.
You got to think of the mechanism that goes on and off, how it clamps on.
Yeah. I think it's, you know how
Maybe it's
Nike
like-
had those shoes that you put your foot in and it like closes on it? I think it's got to be something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
don't
I think it's,
terrible.
you know that those memes they have where people walk from, they put on like two random shoes, like their mom's slippers that don't fit their feet to run out to grab them garbage or whatever it is. It's to
You got
avoid
one high
that
heel
scenario.
on. You got
Yeah.
one shoe that's way too big. You
Yeah,
got
it's
your
like I
dad's
got
boot
two
on.
shoes, or I got two toes in this shoe. So yeah.
Yeah.
But cool. All right.
think terrible.
Tyler, you got anything else? My monitor just went out, so hopefully the camera's still recording. Otherwise, you guys are gonna have a black screen this whole episode. Tyler, anything else?
No, you can roll us out.
All right, that's episode 73 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. If you have any questions you'd like us to cover or answer, email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. And if you found value in this content or found this entertaining, share this with a friend or post it on your story. And if you really enjoyed the show, we'd love a rating and a review wherever you're listening. Talk to you guys next week for another episode of The Midnight Entrepreneur.
Life is, I don't know how she says this, but life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. Helen Keller.